The man in the mirror is not the truth. He's my past. The man I'm becoming is the one that God already sees. And that's not the only reflection that I choose to follow. You know, I had a lesson today in the Revelation about when I look, what do I see when I look in the mirror? And that's what we're going to talk about today. This is powerful because it really cuts to the core of the being and who I am on the inside and my identity. I've been a coach most of my life in some capacity or another. But the one thing is when I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see. Does that sound like you? Then you want to stick around and listen. I've got a message for you. Welcome back. This is Rick Kauffman, your host with the Ascension of the Warrior podcast. And like my intro had said, when I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see. I'm 64 years old and age shows. The abuse, the neglect shows. I've been struggling the last couple of days with a little bit of identity. I was in Miami last week at our council meeting, and a lot of the guys there are 20 years younger than me. They're what we would refer to as jacked and juicy, right? Well, what you see in front of you is not a jacked and juicy version of a man that I might see in other warriors, people that are ascending and fighting each and every day for not only their bodies but their spiritual life and their relationships and their business. It's like you look in a mirror or when you see a video of yourself or you see a photograph. Do you like what you see? Man, I see a fat, overweight, out of shape, 64-year-old man that could probably keel over and die at any moment because he has diabetes. He has stents in his heart because he had an 85% blockage. He's got a blood disorder. He's on permanent blood thinner because he suffers from DVT blood clots. And those are just a few things, let alone being overweight, out of shape. There's so many things that could cause me just to keel over and die today. This is my last shot at the dream that I want. I've always worked my life to serve me. I built several businesses in my life, but they always served me. And when I did that, they came crashing down. You know what I realized when I look in the mirror and I see this man, I realize that man's been dead for 32 years. Why 32 years? Because when his 3-year-old daughter drowned in a pool 8 feet away from a lifeguard, he wasn't there. If you're a father, man, you would do anything to save your children. What would you say to me? What kind of father was I? You'd probably lie and tell me something, to try to help me along my day. You wouldn't tell me the truth. The thing about it is you also believe that'll never happen to you until it does. The point of this is I died that day. When I buried my daughter in a casket 6 feet in the ground, I buried that guy too. And I was dead in my body. I was dead in my spiritual life. I was dead in my relationship because 8 years later, my marriage ended. My relationship with my children it's rocky at best. My business died. I sold it. I then built other businesses only to be bankrupt 2 other times. But you know what? You can either LFG or LMA. What that stands for, I can give you the G-rated version or I can give you the R-rated version. The R-rated version says, let's fucking go or lick my ass because my ass is going to be the one all you're going to see. I've been a coach all my life. Like I said before, in some capacity or another. When I used to show up in my 40s, when I coached high school kids, the first thing we did is we ran 2 miles. And I ran with you. And if I could beat you, what does that say about you as a 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old kid? When a 40-year-old man can beat your ass. It says a lot to me that number one, you didn't care. You just were there to play ball. But then you wonder why you never got into the game that much. The players that beat me were my best players. But the point of this is you could have been the best ball skill, the best athlete out there as far as skill wise, and you do to me no good if you run out of steam 5 minutes into the game. Here's the thing. I knew at any given point we could not always be the best player on the field at that time. That was my life, but I excelled. I excelled to the point where I played great high school ball, went on to college, played college ball, went on, played 2 years professional, went on to play for the military and the Air Force, came back, coached pre-Olympic program, which is now ODP. I turned around and coached high school from, freshman teams all the way to JV teams to varsity team, leading teams to semifinal games in state championship, coaching people, coaching men, coaching fathers who've lost children because I lead from the front. But that man died. That man died the day that he buried his daughter. So when I see in the mirror, that's what I see. I see a dead shell of a man that I used to be. I feel like crap. So get up, stop this podcast, stop this video, get up, go to the mirror, comment below. What do you see? Are you dead? Are you dead in your body? I told you all my problems. I told you what I see. I see a broken man, not just physically broken, but in every, which then bleeds over into his spiritual life. I saw a man disconnected from God because he didn't love himself enough to take care of himself, which is God's temple. It's a gift that God gave him. He did not care enough. So he showed up on church on Sundays. Then he would go to a men's Bible study thinking that he's going to get filled up then. That sounds like you. You're dead. You're walking dead because you get filled up for an hour, two, and then you go back to the old dead life that you were living because you look dead. You look dead in your body. You look dead in your relationships. You look dead in your work and your business. And when you come home, you can't wait till Friday. And then you turn around and say, oh my God, it's Monday. I can't stand it. You're dead. And then you get into your relationships and your balance. I was dead there too. 64-year-old man whose hormones are just racked and ravaged and no good, can't get it up, can't do his job as a man. But we're on fire. My relationship with my wife and I are on fire. So you know what? I lead from the front there too. So you can LMA, lick my ass, because that's all you're going to see there too. Then we're going to go into the business world. I was dead there, bankrupt twice. But you know what? I got back up. The only problem is when I looked in the mirror, I knew that guy was dead. I gave up. I gave up 8 years ago. The doctor looked at me and said, if I don't change my life, I would not see age 65. Well, 1,045 days ago, I started this journey when I was asked, what's God saying to you? And I had no freaking clue. And so I had to turn around and start asking God, what are you saying to me? I want to inspire you because if you're younger than me and you look at what I'm doing, and if you can't keep up with me, what does that say about you? Just saying. You push me. You push me to greater heights. That's why my book, it's called The Ascension of the Warrior, because it's about ascending. It's about rising up. It's about not being dead. It's about rising up from the grave that you buried the guy in. It's about ascending and becoming better each and every day, understanding that it's a process, grasping the process that God's giving you, speaking to God, listening to God, hearing Him every step of the way, finding proximity to people like myself, or proximity just like I have proximity to my coach, because I look at my coaches and they expose the weakness in me. If you go back to your home and you look at your family and you look at your work and you look at the people, how are you leading them? How do you show up there? Because I look at it this way. I want to lead my wife to the peak. I want to be the example for my kids, because at some point in time, my kids are going to be my age. My kids are going to hit rock bottom. Something's going to happen. And I want them to look and say, you know what? When Dad was there, Dad fucking did it. Dad turned his life around. Dad kind of came up, maybe he became jacked and juicy. I don't know. But the vision that I see is not what I see in the mirror when I look there. That's not the man. If you watch yesterday's podcast and everything else, you will see a different version today. You hear a different version today than you did yesterday. And yesterday, because I had this revelation. I have this revelation because in Philippians, he tells them, he told me, you haven't taken hold of what I've told you. So that is your identity. I can't run from it. I can't hide from it. I have to own it. I'm a father who buried his 3-year-old daughter. I'm a father that wasn't there to save his daughter. I get it. But the thing about it is I'm not the failure. I'm not the loser. I'm not the person that I see in the mirror. Because what I see in the mirror is a guy that's leading from the front. And if you can't catch him, I just want to look at you and say, what does that say about you? Just saying. So I just had to come on here today, get away from a little bit of what I've been talking about and get real with you and tell you with what I've been dealing with the last couple of days. But what God said to me was, let's fucking go or lick my ass. And trust me, Jesus is out in front of me all the way. He is the example I have to follow. And I have to deny myself. I have to die. I have to die to that shell of a man that I see in the mirror, because that's not who's on the inside. And I know, brother, that's not who is on the inside of you. So dig deep down, look in the mirror, and ask yourself, who are you? And what is God saying to you? I love you. God loves you. So LMA and LFG. So let's fucking go, or you can just lick my ass every time you watch or listen. See ya. Have a blessed day.